Hello, in this video I'm going to continue to look at the relationship between the YouTuber who calls himself Onision and his ex-girlfriend Shiloh. So far I've been looking at Shiloh's tweets, so if you want to look at the story that she's told through her tweets, then please look at the comment section, and I've put there the order of the different parts and the links to them. So in this video I'm going to look at an actual video that Onision took of Shiloh and of their interaction when he had called the police on her. So before this part that you're going to watch that was filmed, he had called the police and she had asked him if she could call her mother, and he had said no, and she had then become really upset and had threatened to kill herself. So I've talked a bit about this. I think I talked about it. It's a bit difficult because sometimes I make the different videos on the same day, so I can't quite remember which of the episodes I put it in. But in one of them, I've discussed why she would have got to that stage of threatening suicide. It sounds like a bit of a crazy off-the-wall thing to do, to threaten suicide because you want to speak to your mum on the phone. But if we believe Shiloh's story, then it sounds like it sounds like she was never listened to, and she had been driven to a point of being absolutely desperate for somebody to hear her. And Onision had really frowned upon her having a relationship with her family at all, and according to her, he would really react in a really negative way when she spoke to them. So I think that the state that she got into makes sense when you consider the context. In this video she has a shaved head, and that's because Onision shaved it while they were having sex. Apparently he had said that he wanted to shave her head, and she'd allowed him to do that, but she looking back feels that he did that to degrade her. And I think that considering her story, if that's true, and looking at what we can see of him in this video and in other videos, I think it sounds like that could well be the case. I'm going to take this apart piece by piece, so I'm only going to show you a very short section at a time and then talk about what I can see happening there. So from what he's said here, he believes that his viewers are going to tell him that he is in the right. He clearly feels very confident about that.
A is an alpha.
I think I can make out a slight smile on his face, and I think that's because he feels confident that he's coming across as calm, and her emotional reaction is making her look a little bit mad. I think that's what he thinks, and he knows that he's filming this. So it looks like a victorious little smile to me.
A is an alpha. I want to be able to talk. I want people to realize that he's been telling people lies.
She says she wants to be able to talk because she feels like she can't be heard by anyone. And she seems really desperate. So that's how someone can be when they've been ignored, when somebody has ignored them and dismissed them over and over and over again. And she's saying that she's talking about how what he says isn't true. So that's referring to, I think, a smear campaign about her. He's brought the camera back to himself again, and I think he is doing that in an effort to show how calm he's looking and how sane he's looking. But the way it comes across to me is that he seems very cold, because he's filming her when she's going through all of this, and it's clear that he's not moved at all by her.
Hello? Hi.
Get the camera off of me, I swear to God.
She doesn't want to be filmed while she's in this state, while she's really vulnerable. She doesn't want his millions of subscribers to see her, and he ignores this boundary.
He has a camera on me. He has a camera on me right now. Get the camera off of me.
She wants the police to hear her version of what's been going on, because they can only hear from him. He's the one on the phone to them. So you can see she feels really distraught that she's completely powerless to stop them hearing one version of events and one way of viewing her. And so not only is he dismissing her and ignoring her, but he is he's encouraging the police to see her in the way that he wants them to see her.
Why do you have a camera on me?
Okay, thank you.
Get the camera off of me.
She tries to set the boundary again, but he doesn't listen to her. And there are no consequences for him not listening to this boundary. So it's a useless boundary. It's just her trying to be heard, and it's not working. You can see that she's pretty powerless in this situation.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Get the camera off of me.
This is the third time she's asked him to stop filming her, and again he ignores her. His voice sounds really calm, and so he's completely unmoved by her. I think this is really creepy, even though I believe that he thinks he's coming across as really sane. In my opinion, he's coming across as quite unhinged, because he just has no feeling while she's going through this. He certainly doesn't show any feeling, and he's repeatedly ignoring this boundary. You know, he's completely ignoring that she doesn't want to be filmed, and he's just doing it because that's what he wants to do. And he's doing this for, in my opinion, for narcissistic supply, because he's made this video to get everybody to validate him and tell him what a great guy he is, he's in the right, and what a crazy girlfriend he's got.
Buddy, the problem is that when I was on the phone with my Aunt Kelly and my mom, you threatened to kill yourself in the background, so that's two witnesses.
You know what? No, you're gonna listen to me. You're gonna listen to me because you're never gonna see me again. So once in your life, you're going to listen to me.
She tells him 3 times to listen to her, and I think the reason she says it all these times is because she doubts he will. And if you look at her eyes, although it sounds like she's telling him, her eyes look like she's begging him. And I think that's because she's so used to being dismissed by him.
Okay, look at me. Look at me, Greg.
So while she's been speaking all this time, while she's really, really desperate to be heard, and she's made that clear over and over again how much she wants to just finally be heard, he hasn't been looking at her. And we know that because she's now desperately asking him to look at her. So he's intentionally ignoring her. And that is maddening. So what he's doing is he's provoking her by constantly ignoring her and dismissing her. And so because of that, she's getting more and more agitated, and then he's behaving in a really calm way as if she's pretty mad, and videoing her so that everyone can see how mad she is. And that's typical of narcissistic behaviour, that they'll provoke someone and then point the finger at the extreme behaviour that comes from their own provocation of them.
I don't care if you record me, you're gonna listen to me.
She's now let go completely of her boundary about being filmed. So she had asked him 4 times to stop and he ignored that. So now she's let go of this. She's not even asking for this because she's so desperate to be heard that she's even prepared to just sacrifice it and just let everyone see her in this state. And I think that's a sign of just how maddening it is to be dismissed and ignored over and over again while all of this is going on, you know, even while the police are involved. But also it shows how pointless a boundary is if there are no consequences when someone ignores it. She doesn't have real boundaries because when he ignores it, nothing happens.
I'm going to seriously tell everybody what you've done to me.
I haven't done anything to
I'm
you.
going to destroy you.
I haven't done anything to you.
Again, his voice sounds extremely calm. He seems very unmoved by her, and I think he thinks that he's coming across as really sane.
Yes, you have. You destroyed everything. I'm forced to go back there. She's going to kick me out and I have nothing.
I wonder if she's talking about her mum. She's saying that she might get thrown out, and the way that she says it is it seems that it's a bit secretive and she doesn't really want it broadcast everywhere. So I wonder if this is because her relationship with her parents is now less close because Onision has been, he hasn't wanted her to be in touch with them. I'm not sure, you know, this is just a guess. It could be that she's talking about someone completely different. But I know in the end she did go to her parents, so I'm wondering if that's who she's talking about now. If it is about her parents, it does make me wonder about what their relationship was really like. If she feels afraid she's going to be chucked out. I wonder if she did come from a kind of a secure and supported kind of an upbringing, or if it wasn't really emotionally a very safe upbringing.
Just know that when they say on the news that I was found, brutally murdered, that it was because of you.
We broke up.
Look at me.
We broke up.
Look at me.
If she's talking about her parents, then I wonder what life was like when she was growing up. I wonder if she did miss out on some emotional support, and if it was a safe upbringing, because a lot of people who go into relationships like this didn't get the support that they needed when they were growing up, and that's why there's something lacking inside them that they try to find outside of themselves. A validation, you know, that they can't feel that they're good enough, so they look for other people to tell them that they are.
I don't give a shit whether we broke up or not. I do not give a shit. What you have done to me is irreversible. You have destroyed any way for me to support myself. I have nothing.
She had quite a successful singing career before she met him, and then she has ended up with nothing because she moved away from where her management were and they ended up dropping her, and now all she does is help him to make his YouTube videos. So she's got none of her own money to rely on. So now when he's asking her to move out, she's just got nothing and she's got nowhere to go. So you can see that she's completely powerless and that everything has been about him.
You have destroyed me.
Can you take a step back?
No.
I'm backed into a corner.
Then you have to promise to listen to me.
You can see that begging expression again, her desperation to be heard and her fear that she won't be.
I'm not going to promise anything. The police are... Excuse me.
You're going to listen to me.
You know, open the door for the police.
You've destroyed everything. Everything that you do isn't real.
I think this hits the nail on the head when she says everything you do isn't real, because everything's on camera. It's all for his YouTube videos. It's all to get attention, to get his narcissistic supply from his viewers, to get them to just validate him constantly. His whole life is on show for people to validate, and so what she says is true, and it's true of narcissists in general anyway, even the ones that aren't constantly filming themselves and their partner, because they are living in this fake world. They're hiding themselves from the reality about themselves and who they really are, and they're hiding it from everybody that they meet as well. They're just showing them this mask.
Your career's big and finished. Trust me, I'm capable of it. Now I actually want to destroy you because you destroyed me.
She's feeling empowered now. You can see that the way she comes across is quite different, and that's because she's speaking from her anger and not from fear. Before, she was speaking from fear, from the panic that she wasn't going to be heard. But I don't get the impression that he's listening to her because he's interested in what she has to say, but more because this will give him a chance to ridicule her on his videos later.
You're done. And then you'll be left with nothing.
He hasn't said anything in response, so all of her anger is going into this void, and that's the way that he holds on to his power and his control of the situation. But whatever she says, he's not going to bother responding to. He's not going to validate her, and he knows that she needs to be validated. She needs to feel like something changes in him when she speaks, that, you know, he's emotionally affected by her and she matters to him, but he's not giving her that. And so he's holding on to his power, and I think he's getting off on that.
What would you like us to do, sir? You call.
I called my sister and she told me to just leave, to just move away. And,
That's
I mean,
probably
this
a
is
good idea.
Yeah, but here's the weird thing. I can't stop paying utilities here. I can't shut it off because that would be an illegal eviction according to the people I talked to.
Yep.
So I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll just have to move to LA because I'm going to work down there and keep paying utilities and hope my house isn't vandalized.
He wants to come across as the victim here, the martyr who has to keep paying the bills, who might get his house vandaled, but he's just, you know, he's got no choice because he's got this crazy girlfriend.
Do you rent or own?
I own.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, she refuses to leave, so I don't know.
Well, the only way you can get her out is with an eviction or a court order.
Yeah.
So
It would also be really humiliating for her that they're discussing how to get her out of the house, that the police and her boyfriend are talking about her in that way. And I think that's him again, trying to get his narcissistic supply, feeling like he's humiliating and degrading her, and catching all of this on camera means it's even more humiliating than it would be otherwise.
So, yeah, I have to work every day. I work full time every single day. So
well, you got to get your priorities and say, hey, do I want this situation to continue on her end? And then once you've made that determination, you need to take the step to move either this way or this way.
And in order for me to continue doing my job, I have to leave here because she's not leaving.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna go to LA as soon as possible.
And what has changed since the cops came out here last night?
She threatened to kill herself in between that time.
Okay.
And she got hysterical. And
what did she say?
She said that she said I was on the phone with my Aunt Kelly and she threatened to kill herself, and then I threatened to call the cops, and she said that she was. What did you say exactly? You said it. You said something. You said you were going to make it look really bad or something.
Did you threaten to kill yourself, young lady?
I did.
You did?
I'm not going to deny that.
How come? That's not those aren't the statements of a reasonable person.
I think it's interesting that he cuts the video off at this point. She's just about to explain to the police why she'd threatened to kill herself. And the reason is because he wouldn't let her speak to her mother on the phone. So he wouldn't let her be heard by anybody when all of this has been going on, when he was on the phone to the police. But he cuts the video at this point because he doesn't want anyone to know that he was behind her reaction, you know, that he could have done something differently and that she might be a lot calmer now. It doesn't go with the rhetoric that he is the sane one and that he's this really calm, patient, kind boyfriend to this crazy woman. So throughout this video, he's using triangulation, both with the police and with his viewers. So he's talking to other people to show up Shiloh, to make her look crazy. He's talking to the camera with his eyes, and he's talking to the police about her. So he's trying to create a difference in the way that he talks to them and in the way that he's responding to her, in order to try to make her feel more mad and us see her as mad. That's my interpretation of this. So I'm going to leave it here. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and I'll continue to look at this story through Shiloh's tweets in the next video.